Mr. Bhutoria, how do you see this attack that has unfolded here in Pennsylvania, in Butler, on Donald Trump? The FBI and Secret Service have said that it's an assassination bid.
I strongly condemn this act of political violence or violence of any kind. It is great that President Trump is doing well. It is said beyond measure that a rally attendee was killed and that other few were wounded. My thoughts are with President Trump and everyone affected at the rally today. I wish them a speedy recovery. President Biden has spoken with President Trump, and almost all the leaders from the Democratic both sides have condemned it. Violence should never have occurred in our democracy. As Steve said, this kind of incident happened many years back with former presidential candidate. Now, whether this is an act of foreign entity to sow discord among the Americans to divide them further, or whether this was a lone case of a person having a mental health issues, we don't know. And this will be investigated over many days, weeks, and months ahead. And we'll have, the American people deserve better answers, and we will learn more about it. But overall, I think this is a sad day for American democracy, and I think we'll have lesson learned from this, and we continue to move forward. There are less than 135 days left to the election, and I wish President Trump gets well and gets back to his campaign.
As the FBI said, it was an assassination bid. However, the motive still remains to be unclear.
Yes.
As to what was the reason behind the attack. This is quite serious at the moment, the situation that we're looking at.
It's quite serious. He's the top candidate he's the nominee from the Republican Party. And, there's a strong contest between President Biden, whom I'm supporting, and Trump for this election. The country is divided between the two candidates. And of course, it's not the right moment, but I would say that President Biden will eventually win. But that has to be seen yet playing through the process. At the same time, what has happened is very sad for American democracy. Whether this will lead to further violence, it should not. So my appeal to all the, both Democrats and Republicans voters will be to unite, to fight on the differences on the principles and, policies, and but continue to unite in the national interest and not to be divided by, whether it's an act of foreign entity trying to create chaos in the country or whether it's an act of individuals. But we need to remain united and focused, and people continue to fight on the differences on the policies.
Mr. Biden is already behind on poll numbers, and Donald Trump, as we know, is somehow, we've been seeing on social media also, continues to remain the popular choice at the moment. You're saying that, at this point in time, of course, Joe Biden has also spoken to Mr. Donald Trump on the telephone and has asked about his health, of course. But at this point in time, the situation, as we say, that it remains to be quite serious. Any information that is coming out that you've been learning of? What was spoken about on that telephone call also that happened between
one thing I want to add and correct it. There was a poll yesterday, a national poll, which shows President Biden leading nationally 2%, 2 points above Trump nationally. He was leading in few states, and he was behind in few states. And these polls are ongoing, and this will continue. Of course, he had one bad debate, but he has moved on. He has a great night at Michigan yesterday, before that in Wisconsin. So he's continued to, fight back and continue. And the Democrats are getting solidly behind again.
The question I wanted to also ask you here is that, do you think this could actually boost Donald Trump's prospects because it could create a sympathy wave for him?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, this kind of situation always, as we have seen in the history, when such attempt happened with the previous candidate, it moved the needle towards the sympathy wave towards it. And we could see, but yet it's too early to see whether it was an assassination attempt, whether it was a foreign entity done, whether it was a lone person, or whether it was a, some kind of effort from people supporting the candidate. So we don't know answer to any of these, and we cannot, look into theories.
Right, Mr. Bhutoria, yes. One question also that I want to ask here, as I was speaking to Steve also earlier, we were discussing about this. The there could be some lapse on the part of the Secret Service.
Of
Many
course.
bullets grazed past the president's ear. Well, it could have turned fatal. The situation could have turned fatal for Donald Trump. Anything could have
I
happened
mean,
there. There was
the,
blood
the
around his
bullet
ear.
just
He fell on the ground. But
right.
yes, please go ahead. You were saying something.
Yeah, the bullet just passed by his ear, and if he was little bit, left or right, it could have completely shot him. I mean, right? It was the most tragic moment in the history, and and it was a completely visible from what I visible from the media as a completely lapse of security on behalf of the security service. You have a podium or a building right in front of the stage, and you have people point. What I'm learning from the media is that people pointed out to the Secret Service that, hey, there's a guy going on that above terrace with a gun, and they did not take an action. This is what I'm learning from the media. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it completely seems so. I'm sure that I will urge that Trump be provided more security so that he is the nominee, so he should be provided proper security, and these kind of lapses should not be taken. And in fact, I mean, this could be a lesson for all the rest of the world leaders that to get the proper security checks and
Well,
balances
yes, there
done.
are reports also coming out that the Secret Service already had prior information about this, but they did not act in time. And also the fact that so many bullets managed to,
Yep.
the man who was firing the bullets, he managed to fire so many shots. And despite that, I mean, Secret Service did press into action, did manage to save Donald Trump, but so many bullets were fired already, and anything could have happened there. So, of course, there are a lot of questions that are being raised at the moment on the Secret Service, also on the lapses that could have been there, of course. But yes, we'll talk about this later as well. We'll try and get more information about that and confirm that. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Mr. Bhutoria, for joining us